Hello again, and welcome to Rock Report. This week I'm chatting to the Instant Automatons, a band who might be said to be truly alternative in every aspect of music and policy. And I'll also be giving a spin to the new singles from Bauhaus, Cabaret Voltaire and Malaria. As well as all that, there's the local news, and of course the London concert information. But first off, the Instant Automatons. As two of the band are based in the north, and the other one here in Woolwich, they spend a lot of time commuting up and down. But this hasn't prevented them from exploring various alternative musical avenues, the general consensus of contemporary music. So I started off by delving into the band's history.
Martin and I met at school up north, and the band sort of evolved out of messing about with.
Were you both in different bands before you actually worked on this one?
No.
So this was your first band?
Yeah, the Instant Automatons sort of existed before we had any instruments or anything.
Yeah.
So you're self-taught?
Yeah, yeah.
And you've managed to acquire quite a lot of gear now, really, your own PA and things. Has this been just accumulated over the years?
Yeah.
Or accumulated even?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, how did you come to become involved, Mick?
Oh, that's a long story. All started from a Christmas card. No, what it was when they started doing the cassettes, I see the advert in Sounds, sort of advert, they stick in. I sort of got this cassette. It was quite nice and psycho. I thought, I like this. And then when the EP came out, Peter Paints His Fence, there was a thing, they went somewhere with a van.
Yeah.
And possibly you might be able to come and play with them, so I sort of crept in and said, listen, I can play a really bad guitar. It went from there.
Is it basically just a three-piece then, or are you sort of open to people coming in and out and doing various bits and pieces?
Oh yeah. I mean, when we play live, we like to sort of augment our sound with other people. Like,
sort of get people on
friends.
stage.
Yeah,
that we
friends.
Doesn't this cause a bit of a problem though? Because I mean, if they come on, I mean, what are you looking for them to do? Just add percussion or what?
Yeah. Well, usually it's a drummer from some other band. Like normally we have a drum machine, and then say for the big finale, we get one of these people that we know who can play drums to come on and play drums for us. But there are other things as well.
Because you're not really, you're quite alternative to the general concept of a band. For a start off, you're based in different areas, up north and down south, so you're commuting between the two perpetually. Doesn't it cause a bit of a problem in terms of rehearsals and gigs?
Yeah,
Yes.
it does.
So how do you solve it?
We commute.
Yeah.
Which must cost a fortune.
Yeah, well, we used to do, to some extent, rehearsal by post when me and Mark would get together, because we sort of live within 20 miles of each other, and then send a tape of the new songs to Mick. And at the gig, we got this miniature amplifier, and in the dressing room we'd like go through the new songs which Mick had heard on the tape, just to make sure we could actually play them.
And that's the only way you could really solve the problem.
Yeah, but it's getting a bit better now.
Why's that?
Well, for a start, we discovered there's a bus service to my village from London, and Mick sometimes comes up to mix another band up north. So while he's there for a couple of days, he and I get together. So Mark and I get together, or Mick and I get together, and sometimes we all three get together.
So that's a little bit easier for rehearsals.
Yeah.
And you've also got a policy of gigging virtually anywhere and everywhere. First off, how do you find these obscure gigs that you turn up at times?
They're wonderful, aren't they?
For example, Notting Hill. Well, Notting Hill recently.
Oh, that was the
Windsor Castle?
Yeah, the Idiot Ballroom.
Well, yeah, it's just friends of ours who live in London. That part of London.
Do you think it's a good idea to just gig everywhere, all over the country, as opposed to what most bands do at first?
Regular
Just in
spots.
one
Oh
area?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about experiences of various gigs?
Well, like the Cumbria gig, where the band's never turned up.
Well, they were late, weren't they? We had to play about 2 sets to sort of keep the people from rioting or something.
The mass teenage hordes.
Yeah. But I think on the whole, we don't do many gigs where we actually get paid, but of the gigs that we've done, I think the free ones that we do are better than the ones where we get paid.
Why is that?
I don't know, they've got a better atmosphere, a better feeling when you're doing them.
What do you think it's taught you musically or atmospherically, or from whatever angle, doing gigs in all parts of the country? what could you say was the most prevalent thing about them?
It's like
Well, basically, you get to see the country.
What I've learned from it is that it's easier to get a gig almost anywhere than it is in Scunthorpe.
yeah.
Right, let's talk about some of the cassette material you've done. Why did you decide to release your own stuff on cassette? Easier access?
Well, it was easier for us to do, and it's also meant that we could actually release stuff without getting involved with.
Big financial burdens.
Yeah, right. Because it was cheap for us to do, and it was cheap for people to get.
So how did you actually set about doing it? I mean, from stage one of recording it through to marketing it and selling it?
Well, when the first cassette, Martin and I used to get together on, I think it was it Tuesday afternoons or something, when we were both left school, and I was on social security before I got a job, and we used to get together and record like whatever we did. We just sort of practice. We'd do the same song about 3 or 4 times, and in the end we had a load of these recordings, and so we just compiled a tape from these various recordings, and then we found that we could copy it onto cassettes that people would send us, and we thought that was a good idea to sort of get our noise across to people.
And how successful has it been?
Well, if you believe what you read in the music papers, it hasn't been successful, but if you look at our filing system and you see we've released we've got rid of about 200 odd copies of at least the first 4 cassettes, or the most popular 4 cassettes are up in the 200 marks now.
That's
So
200 each, isn't it?
you've had to involve a whole network really of A, learning how to do it, and B, how to sell them, etc.
Yeah.
Because presumably, I know you've got your own studio now,
Yeah.
or you're in the process of building it.
It is built.
You're self-taught in all like mixing and tape work and things like that.
Yeah, well, it was a year. We were doing it for a year before we released the cassette. We started in actually late '77, I think.
Yeah,
We
that's
released the
right.
cassette in January the 1st, 1979. And the sort of preceding 15 months, we hadn't actually realised that the things we were recording we were going to release anyway, which was for our own amusement. And it's the same with everything. We just sort of pick it up as we go along.
What about the compilations you've been involved with?
And
How did
they're-
they come about?
Well, they're built up by friends as well now. It's like most of them, we sort of know them a bit.
Yeah, often the same people who gets the gigs.
Because beneath the surface of like what everybody sees and reads in the mass circulation music press, there's a whole little network of bands doing the same sort of thing as you, which doesn't receive a lot of publicity.
No. I think the problem is that a lot of stuff, because it's so easy to do, people just do it and then they're satisfied with what they've done when it's not of the best sort of quality that they could do. And because there's so much of this about, anything that gets back to the national music press has got a good chance of being pretty crappy. And so they sort of judge the whole thing from just these little bits that they hear.
Do you think the trend is changing though, with the number of bands that you've encountered and that, as you say, are friends now? Do you think the trend is that more people are looking towards doing things A, on cassette, or B, on vinyl for themselves, rather than looking for a company in the traditional way?
Well, I think, you know, since really, what was it, about 78, I think, when there was a lot of independent labels started, I think that thing has still been prevalent. I mean, if like, once again, if you believe what you read in the music presses, that's all sort of died down now, but in actual fact it's still on the go.
Strong.
Yeah.
I don't know, the way it seems to me as far as independent records go is that once bands didn't do it and then they started doing it, and now again they're not doing it, they're just, instead of now trying to sign with EMI, they're trying to sign with an independent company instead.
So you think it was initially the punk explosion perhaps that brought out the attitude of do it for yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it certainly
quite
was for us.
I mean, nobody would have, even if they'd accepted the idea of the cassette as a thing, they wouldn't have accepted the music that was on it before the punk thing. it wasn't punk music, but it was music that you'd have to have a kind of a liberal conscience to accept as music at all.
Given the opportunity though, and obviously the way the music industry is, it must be easier to be on a company. Would you prefer to be on a record company?
No.
No, not really. And the chance of getting told what they tell you what they want, not what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're involved with a company, it's only because they think they can get something out of it.
So you're in it for art's sake?
We're in it for the sake of autonomy.
Gorillas in the village. Wipe out the village. Napalm the natives. They're not human. Don't feel bad. God is on your side. God bless America. God bless Ronald Reagan. God bless America. God bless Uncle Sam. Burn out the natives. Burn out the cancer. Cut out the cancer. Burn the commie bombs. Missiles over Europe. Wipe out the Russians. Wipe out the commies. Jet planes flying over El Salvador. Flying over Korea. Flying over Vietnam. Flying over England. God bless America. Mom's apple pie. God bless Uncle Sam. Truth, justice, and the American way. Yeah. I can hear you singing. Everybody. Oh yeah. Jet plane. Jet plane. Here comes jet plane. Here it comes now. Got a present for you. Got a present for you. What a surprise. Oh dear. Look what we've done to your little country.
It's the Instant Automatons and a track called Jet Plane, and after the break it's more of the same.
Greenwich Sound. You got a friend and the best in music with Greenwich Sound.
It's been said that everything you hear influences you either positively or negatively. So the key question is, how would you describe yourselves musically?
That's $1 million question, isn't it?
Listen to the tracks, folks.
Yeah,
How do you
that's
see
the best
yourselves?
thing.
I mean, you always ask about what they think of themselves, and they always think that they're radically different to everybody else. But in your case, it's perhaps a more valid question.
Yeah, well, I can't think of any band that sound quite like us. I think that's a good thing, because I think the Instant Automatons are my favourite band. Not wanting to sound egotistical or anything, but you know,
You use
and that's-
various diverse instruments as well. don't you?
Yeah.
The thing is, we just do what we enjoy, and if it involves
Right.
using different instruments, then that's what we do.
that was the main sort of thing behind forming the band, was to make music that we wanted to listen to rather than other people. That's why we weren't sort of bothered with releasing it at first. You know, it was just what we liked.
And you're also been involved in various experiments on a solo basis. You've all done various solo work, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that like give you more freedom?
I think basically it's because we can't get together so much.
Yeah.
We sort of tend to, you know, we sort of overflow with these creative ideas, and sort of, if the rest of the band aren't there, then you have a go on your own. I think
it must be
I
a bit
think,
hard if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a magnificent riff.
No,
That's
yeah.
awful. I'll say it like that.
Hence the tape machine.
How do you think that gigs south of the border compare with up in north? Or not only gigs, but the whole music situation?
It's more free down here, isn't it?
Yeah, but on the other hand, people are kind of more
Business
They take,
minded?
yeah, and they take it all for granted as well. You put
Yeah,
on this and
yeah, that's true.
gig down the pub, but in Scunthorpe, it's very hard to get a gig. But if you actually get one,
It's an event.
Yeah, assuming anybody finds out about it happening, which there's not a lot of communication up there.
So what do you usually take as subject matter, lyrically?
Well, it's mainly things that happen to me and things I hear and see and things like that.
Observation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Personal experience.
there's a lot of people in our songs. You know, they're not sort of about. They're not really about sort of emotions or things like that. They're mostly about people. Often a story or a sort of description of someone. And 9 out of 10 times they're real people I actually know.
Does that become an embarrassment at times?
No, because I usually change the names. Or else, like, we do this one song called Gillian is Normal, and that is about a girl called Gillian, but I don't actually know her, but I know of her. I've heard a lot about it because she's this guy I know, she's his girlfriend, and he sort of talks about her. And from what he's told me, I sort of drew up this picture of this person and then wrote a song about her. Well, not actually her, but the sort of attitudes that come across.
So what are the future or immediate plans, musically first? You'll be on another compilation LP, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hopefully releasing an LP next year, early next year.
What, an LP all together?
Well, no, a third of it will be us.
2 other bands.
And 2 other bands that we're very friendly with. It won't be like your average compilation album. It'll be a sort of trying to, I don't know, fuse 3 different ideas, something like that. I was sitting on the front porch, I was waiting for the rain I knew would come. Another day, another year, and yet another wasted Sunday afternoon. I saw you walking down the road with some flowers for a grave that could be mine. I should have stopped and said hello or something, but I have so little time. Talk is small in grocery stores, our sides are deep in libraries and basements. Our nights are long, our minds are filled with wondering if there will be more violence. I could write a book, 1,000,000 words, but no one wants to read books anymore. So just fill your glass and turn your back and make your way across the dancing floor. Your crossword puzzle mind is blank, but I cannot supply you with the clues. And the point at which you start to win could be the place where I begin to lose. So take off your silver-spangled satin ball gown and learn to be my friend. But if that is too difficult, then I suppose that we could just pretend.
That's the Instant Automatons, and lastly their track called Violence. And watch out for the band on the Zounds tour, which is all going to happen after Christmas.